and I'm really excited to welcome our first speaker to the stage, Emma Ellis, who's the president of Interbrand London. Please put your hands together for Emma.
Thank you very much, Sam, and thank you to, Future of Brands for hosting us here today. What we're going to talk about in the context of that is what is shaping the performance of the world's top 100 brands. And I'm delighted to be here as part of Interbrand team. As Sam mentioned, it's a phenomenal moment for a lot of people to have this opportunity. So thank you very much to Future of Brands for that. So one of the things at Interbrand that we've been looking at is really what the best global brands are. You may have seen that report, you may not have, but what we're going to do today is draw out some of the key insights about what is shaping the top 100 brands in the world. So the Best Global Brands report analyzes and tracks the top 100 brands across the globe. And we've been doing this for 25 years. It is the longest running study of its kind. And actually, interestingly, the top 10 value of the entire top brand, the brand value of the top 10 brands surpasses the entire next 90. So you can really see the performance of these top performing brands have got something to learn. And there's three components of how we analyze and measure these top brands. We look at the financial performance, we look at the role of brand of any one of those brands, and we look at the individual brand strength. And that is across 125,000 data points every year. And what is incredible to note is over the last 25 years, 36 brands have survived the turbulence, the change. So you can imagine how many others have been and gone in that time. So we always celebrate these brands. They have an incredible performance and they've done incredibly well to stay on there. And what was interesting in 2024 when we last ran this report, some of the fastest risers were Ferrari, YouTube, Hermes, Kia, Instagram, Prada. So you're seeing the luxury, automotive, and obviously tech dominating in those brands. But the new entrants, Nvidia, Pandora, Range Rover, and Jordan, I cannot wait to see what 2025 is going to bring to us all. In the top 100 brands, the cumulative brand value is $3.4 trillion US dollars. And that's a huge amount. But actually, sitting underneath this analysis, growth is slowing down. And last year, it was only at 5%, which is the lowest over the last 4 years. There was a post-pandemic boom, and then it dropped down to a sort of normal state at 6%. And we're seeing a decline in brand value. So what do we think is going on behind the scenes here? Well, if we take a look back to when we first started running this analysis in the year 2000, you were probably calling or messaging your friends on a Nokia 3310. Only 7% of the world had access to dial-up internet. And Yahoo was the dominant search engine and Gap was the biggest apparel brand out there. Fast forward to today, and the world has shifted and it continues to do so at a rate that's speeding up over time. And in that context, businesses are changing. They're competing in different ways. They're evolving their categories. But at the heart of this is actually the consumers that are making the choices when it comes to what brands they're going to invest in. And in that world that we're living in now and the sped up kind of complex situation we're in, we can see that the customer expectations are moving faster than businesses can actually deliver on. So in that world, it's not actually the rules that have changed in business. It's actually a totally different game. And within the new game, companies have grown increasingly capable of being able to track what consumers are interested in and therefore iterate propositions off the back of it. But what AI has done has shifted that from real time to predictive. And that's what we all call performance marketing. If you flip that into how businesses are investing into marketing, we speak to a number of CMOs around the world every single year. And we can tell you that the investment in marketing is on the decline overall. 3.3% down comparatively to where it used to be a sort of standard 10%. And the spend is actually going towards performance marketing, as many people in this room will know and understand in lots of different ways. But it's 30% higher in terms of the investments in performance marketing. So if you overlay that with the Best Global Brands performance data we've just shared, where the total brand value is declining in terms of growth, you can see that there's a deficit in terms of investment in brand. We're not here to dispute the benefit of performance marketing. It is clear, it's undisputable, and it's absolutely amazing and smart, efficient, everything that every single boardroom in the world wants to be part of. But why then are we seeing this decline in brand value over the last 3 years? And looking at kind of accelerating that demand in performance marketing, who's actually creating the value? In a world where we're focused on efficiency and growth, what is the cost of that? Because focusing on efficiency alone assumes that the brand is going to create demand in the absence of sustained investment. And it's a dangerous assumption and one that can lead to trouble. So we have actually analysed, and it's in our report if you want to see it, the cumulative value of what we think that brands are leaving on the table by not investing efficiently in brand. And of the world's most 100 valuable brands, we believe that they've missed out on 3.5 trillion in value creation since 2000. And if you're more interested in the P&L, that's $200 billion in the revenue over the past 12 months alone. So, in this context, brand becomes the only truly point of difference that you can hold on to and retain. And it's the one asset that can't be legally replicated. This means that a brand can be the business engine and the only sustainable source of demand for your business. And these figures show that there's no amount of fuel that can actually change the performance of an engine if you're not investing in the brand. But not all brands are created equal. And most importantly, not all of them are run equal. Many brands are a matter of habit. You just have them in your life. You just actually have them as a point of indifference. But think about the brands you actually desire. In that context, nobody buys a Porsche or an Hermes because they need to. They buy it because they desire it. And that role of brand in driving choice is the foundation of the model in which luxury is built on. And it explains why luxury brands consistently outperform in our top 100 brands. But take Samsung. That was a brand that 20 years ago was just bought because it was needed. But now it is desired. And that's because of a strategic and consistent investment in their brand and their strategy over this amount of time. And then if you apply that to something like toilet roll, the same applies. Sorry if you can't say it. So if a brand that we can choose becomes a toilet roll, it's not actually luxury we're talking about here. It is actually the role of that brand and what that is driving in terms of the performance. So how do you go from a brand that was just bought to a brand that is wanted? Well, allow us for a second to take a short trip down kind of the history lens of branding. Originally, brands were built as identifiers. They were built in the 90s, particularly it was really boomed around actually developing these as your differentiator so that you could make sure that you had your competitive brand around you. But that evolved into the era of assets in the 90s, when actually we pioneered the brand valuation methodology, and people actually started to see that the value of the brand was something that they could look at on their balance sheet and really start to invest in and manage and grow. Take it then to the next level, and it was all about the era of experiences. And what Apple did in terms of changing commerce into actually a ceremony around an experience was phenomenal and really changed the game for everybody. Then came Amazon. The ecosystem, the era of the ecosystems, where you didn't need to wait 1 second anymore to be exactly where you needed to be, where you wanted to buy a product. And these guys are the masterclass of actually making sure that you can have whatever you need at the touch of a button, and in how they digitally perform as well. But in the 2020s on, you've actually had to stack that against the need to be an act of leadership as well. So making sure that, yes, you're doing the right thing as a brand, but you're doing the right things as well for your consumers. So if you look at what the role of a brand has to be in this day and age, it's extensive. You need to stack all these up to be able to become an iconic brand. But when you do, and you get this right, it really helps this become the engine of the business and the brand engine that you can rely on. Because iconic brands really help businesses lead, they help enable consumers do what they need to in their life, They help you engage with your consumers and build better meaning systems with them. They deliver, and ultimately, they show up. Take this to the next level, as we always do. Look at the impact on share price. So when we analyze the top 100 data, and we look at how these brands are performing, and I've talked about role of brand and brand strength. If you just look at the change in investment around role of brand and brand strength change and how that correlates to share price, the findings are interesting. So for every 1 point the role of brand or brand strength increases, you can expect a share price increase of 2.3%. And the higher the index on that, the higher performance, and that's where you can really start cooking on the gas. And that's impressive, but it shouldn't be surprising to any of us in this industry. It's a strong brand that really helps drive the engine of a business. But actually, in financial parlance, it creates a competitive moat. And actually, that is the real strength of any of these brands in the top 100. It creates a competitive moat. But it's our belief system that actually those brands do more than just create a competitive moat. They really change the iconic moments of our time. So thank you, everybody. That is the end of our talk today.